McGill, state of corruption. Circle of corruption. You know what I mean by circle of corruption? Is when each candidate, whoever you choose, is corrupt. You wonder why things don't change? Well, that's why. What they're doing is fighting for control, not to make your life better. All right. Just in the last 24 hours, and I have them on my phone, I was contacted by 2 Senate candidates, one of which is a billionaire. And they're running on the principle of the deep state. Seems to be the new word. When I said there was an organization of corruption years ago, they thought I was crazy. Corruption. Candidates wouldn't even say corruption. Well, you know what? Now they've graduated to the deep state because now you believe there's a deep state, an organization of corruption. But they're not going to give you names. These conversations I've had, and one was over an hour, was this simple. Mr. Gill, you know that this candidate, for instance, we're running again, is part of the deep state. He's a lawyer. And he is. But when I spoke of the FBI depth, the control of our courts, the IRS, the real branches of the deep state, each time I was told by both candidates, well, if we say anything, we'll get crushed. Well, what if you don't say anything? The American people are getting crushed. And the last piece that I said to them, I said, bring it to the people. Tell them this is what you're fighting against, the deep state. And what they said to me, one gentleman said, the American people won't understand. The billionaire turned around and told me it was over your head. You know something? This is what I told them both. The American people are the victims of the deep state. They know about this deep state better than you do because they suffer the consequences daily. This is your candidates. These are the ones that are running on the platform of the deep state. Now let's go to this video. You're going to see Governor Sununu. Now, I ran against the governor. They destroyed my voter registration, so I couldn't be on the ballot. I had to be write-in, broke the record for write-ins, and they would still never give me the numbers that we've got. Now, on the other end, as a Democrat, was Shaheen's candidate, Senator Jean Shaheen's candidate, their own organization of corruption and tied to the deep state and control of the state. So you see, either side, you lose. Sununu had taken over the banking department. You'll see a small clip where I confront Sununu at the hearing of Jerry Little, a state senator who's going to become the banking commissioner, except for he wrote a bill 2 months before saying you don't have to audit the entities that you trust, banks that you trust, you know, that run the money from the cartels and the corruption through. See, it was his own get out of jail free card. And he was positioned by Sununu, who levered the corrupt with their money by controlling the bank commission. See, with his own guy. You'll see a small clip of that confrontation.
So my name is Mike Bill, and I own the mortgage specialist, and I've owned them for 26 years. Now, we were the #1 broker, not just only in New Hampshire, but in the United States, multiple years. In addition, Fannie Mae has recognized me, and I've done their training videos. You can say I'm an expert in the mortgage business. Now, Mr. Perlow, who recently resigned, you may remember I just called him a drug launderer. He didn't dispute that. He resigned instead. Mr. Perlow, we spoke, Mr. Pappas, you brought up primary bank. Mr. Sununu brought up FRN. Well, you know who reported the scandal of FRN to the AG's office? Well, that would be myself. Right, 2007. You know who I reported it to? Assistant Attorney General Perlow. Isn't that interesting? Now, Perlow, by the way, is an insurance defender for McLean Law Firm. Now, seeing that we've taken this time to find out making the proper choice, how did an insurance defender become our banking commissioner? Because he was covering up the crimes of FRM. The crimes of FRM are important because it brings you into the corruption in the banking department, right? For instance, Mr. Little sits right next to Kevin Abar. Kevin Abar is the one who sponsored the bill for FRM. Except for if you remember, and I put it on davecorruption.org, you'll notice that I said the hearing was corrupted. And what did we have? George Lambert, who worked with Mr. Abard on the bill, confessing on a radio interview with me, telling the victims of that to be quiet. In fact, Mr. Sununu, I talked to Mr. Abard, and Mr. Abard was putting together a complaint along with mine to the Department of Justice. You talked to one of them. In fact, you had it put it to the AG's office. Now think about this. Well, I have text messages from I have the text messages with me. In fact, his exact words was, Sununu smells blood in the water. And when we're done, you can read them to everybody if you like. And Mr. Abard is not that aware. Mr. Sununu, and then Mr. Sununu, then he called Harry Bean the same day. I spoke to Harry. He said that you guaranteed him that Mr. Head wouldn't have a position on his council. Right? Harry Bean said that on the same day. No, I have those text messages. So this is a power play here. So this, now remember now, so Kevin Abar would have power.
Then I want you to take a look at certain articles, one of which Sununu calls President Trump toxic. Toxic, right, when he was speaking of the deep state. He was going after Shaheen, for instance. He goes on to say how he gets along with Shaheen and Hassan. Right, and he does. It's their money he's protecting. Now, you'll also see an article where he calls President Trump calling New Hampshire a drug-infested den. He said it was insulting. Well, let's see if he was right. It's not insulting if it's true, is it? Now you're going to see me with a clip giving evidence to the DEA. And the only reason why we wound up with a tractor trailer full of fentanyl, 80,000 pound capacity tractor trailer, and a kilo of heroin and a kilo of cocaine, to make it look good. 80,000 pound capacity full of fentanyl. It came out of the hospitals, the same hospitals, treatment centers, pharmacies, hospice care that the cartels control.
I'll be hearing from you.
Sure, if there's something in here that I think I need some follow-up on, we'll call you.
Well, if it shows you the roots, the trafficking of the heroin and the fentanyl, in fact, you're going to see that it's being sold out of the Elliott Hospital. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
Yeah. The people who own the Hope Treatment Center are the drug dealers.
Right. In fact, you'll see a clip where brought Jack Riley in the town. Jack Riley? Jack Riley was only the head of the DEA nationally. And I'm going to post it so you can see where he calls New Hampshire ground zero in the country for drugs, heroin, fentanyl. Now, why would New Hampshire be? Because it's that small and that corrupt. It's a distribution center of the country. We're not all swallowing 80,000 pounds, right? But we are nationally. It's only enough to kill everybody. So again, that was my evidence that got that 80,000 pound capacity. You see that small snippet, and you can go to that video so you know I delivered that evidence exactly. And that's what brought Riley here. He even suggested with the cartels, it was the relationship with the businessmen, right, that distributed the drugs throughout the country. Again, what I said.
especially fentanyl, and especially here.
Especially here.
The country. But I have to tell you, I think the Northeast, particularly New Hampshire, is not zero.
It's caused the
Well,
most
zero.
overdose.
Now, who told you that?
Riley says it's a synthetic opioid used in trafficked by Chinese organized crime, Mexican cartels, and calls the availability.
And I think we got the fucking Russians too.
Usually, for instance, the cartels would transit another major city, but some of our investigations are actually seeing people that live in this general region dealing directly with cartel members along the border.
Riley was full of praise Monday.
Well, wait a minute, what did he just say? He said that these cartels are working with people inside, like businessmen, that own car dealerships, that own your treatment centers, that these news and media outlets have made to look like citizens of the year. That's what makes New Hampshire different, he was saying. Now, haven't I been telling you that? Exactly that. And I told them that too. But go on, Jack.
Boxes from National Drug Take-Back Day were loaded into trucks. Several tons of unused drugs collected from 103 locations. He's here this Red Ribbon Week to thank law enforcement and the state's tuck-down efforts.
In fact, you're going to see a small clip, because I've been giving the president this evidence for years, where he calls New Hampshire out, says it's the biggest problem, heroin. Now I want you to listen to it.
I've been handing off information to Trump for over 2 years, right in the beginning of his campaign. When you hear him saying about the drugs in New Hampshire, how many times did we have to hear that?
New Hampshire has a tremendous drug epidemic. Every time I go there, people come up to me and they say, Mr. Trump, what are we going to do? Drugs are pouring in. I'm going to create borders. No drugs are coming in. We're going to build a wall. You know what I'm talking about. You have confidence in me. Believe me, I will solve the problem. They will stop coming to New Hampshire. They'll stop coming to our country. And the people that are in trouble, the people that are addicted, we're going to work with them and try and make them better. And we will make them better.
Then there was a day where I also went and confronted the banking commissioner Little, Sununu's boy, President Trump, the guy you get the flip. Remember Alex Walker, the puppet master that I've been leading you into these videos? Walker, Little, gets you the banking department. The banking department gets you the money of the corrupt, gets you the money of the cartel, meaning it gets you everybody, which is why they guard it. Now listen to Little when I turn around and confront him about the bill.
People, some of which, there was actually 4, were from the AG's office. They were watching him every step. Trust me, he's not a genius. He's a weak link to everybody. And he was scared. That's why he passed that bill. Do you know how much information I've got, for instance, on all these auto loans? Get these people in the back too. But did you know that they've been laundering money through that? Drug money? Now you don't want to audit them anymore, right? Isn't that your law? You passed the law. Isn't that your bill? What? Is that your bill? Are you paying me? Oh, I'm paying you. But I'm also sending you to jail.
Next, this same evidence I gave to U.S. Attorney Durham. You might remember this last summer. Air Force Two was flying into Manchester, New Hampshire. Pence was there for a big photo op, except for he was going to shake the hands of the head of the cartel, which happened to own Granite State Treatment Center, the largest recovery center of all New England, who only happens to be owned by the same cartel, connected to the same primary bank that launders its money, that Commissioner Little protects and launders, and got Sununu elected, and my buddy Walker, who runs the biggest hospital, Catholic Medical Center, in a union with Sununu. And suddenly, Sununu's supporting you. Remember you were coming out, President Trump, in 2 weeks, telling everybody what went on and what the mystery was? Well, the mystery is that you cut a deal. Remember the blood of our children? Just like those senators, they don't trust the American people. When you said drain the swamp, I believed you. People across this country believed you. You know why they voted for you? Because you weren't one of them. You might have been wealthy, but you were speaking to us because we were drowning as a people in that swamp. And I committed my life, my fortune, my well-being to getting that message out. You'll see my message centers. I promoted you. I was on those signs running for governor promoting you, not Sununu. He thought you were a moron. I was in on the calls with Aaron Day and Sununu. I knew exactly what he thought, and President Trump, you knew what he thought too, because you called him out and his father. Now suddenly he's leveraged and now he's supporting you. Again, I'm going to ask you in closing to listen to your own words. When you won in New Hampshire the primary, and tell the American people that you're going to trust them, not like those senators. Everybody's misjudging the American people. Nobody knows better the depth of corruption throughout this country but the victims.
The money in drugs was too great. They built an empire. They built businesses, treatment centers, buildings and hospitals, right? This is what they did. They bought your politicians.
New Hampshire, which I won, I got to know the people so well up there. What's your number one problem? Heroin, coming from the southern border. And I said, doesn't make sense. You go to South Carolina, North Carolina, no matter where, here. You go no matter where, we have drugs pouring into our country. We could stop it. You see, our politicians don't want to stop it because there are people out there that make a lot of money with that. And they take care of the politicians. They don't want to stop it. They could stop it.
Mike Gill.